Was stifling in that room. It was because one person told us one thing, and I felt bad for our cinematography teacher because he obviously was not looped in.
Dear Diary, Mood Musical.
Film school diary, my 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 film school diary.
Hey everybody, so today we're going to be discussing the day that I got to perform and act in my own music video. So, on our syllabus, we had a music video we had to do. This was our third official project in our school year. This was a project where we had to shoot, edit, and film our own music video. It was in school, so we did not actually have to create our own music because we're not musicians. So we were allowed to use like pre recorded music, things like that. So this was kind of exciting. I love music videos. Literally going into school the first day, I already had plans for music videos that I wanted to work in my mind. I had been doing a lot of music video stuff since I was younger. When I first got started on YouTube and different internet platforms, I would do music videos, lip syncs, things like that. So I'm super, super excited to be doing a music video. So our teacher Terry was like, "Hey everybody, this is the week you've all been waiting for. This is going to be our music video week." So we started sitting down and talking about how music videos worked, what you had to do for music videos, what went into a music video. He said that normally if you were doing it for like a musician or something like that, they would be part of the process. And that's the hard part as a director, is you don't always get to be in charge of the music video because a lot of the times the actual artist has more say than you do, which is not normally how it goes when you're on a set. Normally the director is the one who says cut, the one who says everything. But when you have like a musical artist who is actually their work, sometimes they do get final say over you. So you have to be prepared for that. But since this was one of those things where we'd be expected to use an already recorded track, we were kind of told that that wasn't going to be the problem here, but you should be prepared for that in the near future. So we were all sitting around kind of jotting our ideas down, coming up with our concepts. We were all kind of planning things. I had an idea that I'd been planning for a very long time to a certain artist's song, and it was talking very much about like kind of the gender inequalities of certain things. And my idea was going to be I was going to have a bunch of girls who had different signs, handwritten signs, saying of like what they were to this guy, and how in reality his expectations of them were put onto them, and that wasn't who they were as people. It was gonna be something like that. I had this very dramatic concept in my mind. It was gonna be very like, oh, sad, and oh my gosh, you thought this girl was just this one sign. You thought she was just a cheerleader, but in reality, she's a writer, and those kind of things. A lot of cliches, to be honest. Looking back on it now, it was cliched. So I had that idea. I was already kind of writing it down in my Justin Bieber notebook. I was jotting down the ideas I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, this will be really fun. But Terry said to us before we finished that day in class, he went, "The one rule you have to follow for this is you have to have fun." Fun? We've been going almost 3 weeks straight, and you want us to have fun? What? What is this? Fun? We're not here for fun. We're here to be artists. So we had to reevaluate. And we all kind of like, "What do you mean fun? We have to have fun. What are you talking about, Terry?" And he said, "Because the rest of the school year is going to be much more intensive. You thought these 3 weeks solid were intensive? No, this is where we get into actually filmmaking. So I want you guys to have one last project where you can enjoy yourself, where you can just let go and let loose. Because in reality, you can do whatever you want with a music video and it's still considered a music video. There's doesn't have to be as much structure, or they can be as much structure as you want. It's up to you. So all you have to do in this project is have fun. You don't have to worry about continuity. You don't have to worry about lighting. Just have fun." So I started thinking about my concept, and I didn't really love that concept anymore. I didn't really think that was a very fun concept. I was going for artsy, and I was going to be black and white and drama, and so many people were going to be sad and thinking because of this film. And I didn't really feel like I was going to have fun making that film. So I had to reevaluate what I wanted to do. I had to go pull out my iPod Shuffle at the time, shake it, and hear what new song would come up and get some inspiration. At this time, I was still in the crew with the Razorblades. We were still doing our little thing, so all of us were kind of planning around each other. This was the week after we had done the longest day ever, where we shot 4 films in one weekend or one night. We decided not to do that this time around, though. We decided we were going to take a lot amount of time because we all wanted to enjoy ourselves with this film and not work for 12 hours straight and cry by the end of it. So we all decided, okay, we'll take our time. We'll take both days, and we'll 2 people one day, 2 people the other day. So that's fine. So we started working on our concepts, and I came up with an idea for the song. I'm not going to be able to include it here because of YouTube's copyright. Even though in school, technically, I don't know. My teacher said technically we could use it because it was for like learning purposes. So technically, by copyright law, we could use songs. I don't know how it works. Either way, I don't trust it now because YouTube will probably copyright strike me, so I'm not going to put it in here. But I went to a song called I think it was Obsession or Obsessed or something like that. And my basic idea is I wanted to do something about a character's descent into madness when they didn't get like a text back or something. I thought it could be really fun to kind of take one of my actors and have them just like lose their mind. I ended up actually working with the same actor that I had worked with before on my black and white, I think, sound, like my synced sound film. The actress who was the girl in that, I brought her back for this, and I believe I might have brought back the same guy from that film. They were going to be my actors for this, and I basically wanted the concept to be that like he texted her and they chatted a little bit, and then he didn't text back in time, so she started slowly going crazy to the song, and she descended into madness. Just by the end of it, you realize that he did text back and it was all in her head and she didn't need to be so dramatic about things. So whatever. It was just kind of a fun way to have her like do a full character analysis of her just like losing her mind. I'm a makeup person, so like I want to have her makeup, really play with her makeup getting like crazier, like streaking as she's like down her face as she's screaming out the window. I think I might have a few clips I can show you guys. So anyway, we had that kind of concept. That was my basic concept I wanted to do. That was my idea. I was going to plan for that. I wanted to do that, and Terry always told us not to act in our films. My other classmates didn't always take that to heart, but the Razor Blades, we normally did. We didn't try to act in our films. We tried to cast actors, but I really wanted to play in this. I don't know. I felt like being in it, so I don't know why, but I wanted to be like a little hipster weirdo. So I got myself like a little wig, and I got those little braids, and I was like, I'm gonna act. And everybody's like, why? And I'm like, because I can. I don't know. For some reason, I was in it. So neither here, neither there. So what I ended up doing, I was in it. I played like the friend of the guy. And so like we're just in a shot together, like, hi. Again, I don't know why I did it. They don't know why I did it. The actors were like, okay, cool. The director's in this randomly. Whatever. Anyway, so I was kind of in it. Little flags. So yeah, it was me, Carly, Red, and July, and we were going to shoot these. I cannot remember exactly how we set things up. I know I want to say I shot my film with July. I believe we shot ours on the same day. I believe we might have shot ours on a Sunday, and I think Carly and Red shot theirs on a Saturday, I believe. I want to say I think Carly shot hers kind of as it was very sad if I remember correctly. I think she did it to a Sia song possibly. I could not tell you which song it was, but she did do it to a very like emotional, very sad, very well shot, very beautiful, like sad scene. Neither of us can find it. I checked with her. She does not have it. I don't have it. I do have a couple clips, like I said, of mine. I do not have any of Red or July's, but I will be able to show you some of my stuff. But yeah, so we went back to class. We had our concepts built. We were all ready. We had these ideas in our head. We're like, yeah, we're going to shoot this. We're going to shoot that. We're going to shoot that. But the problem that I was really worried about, and I know everybody else in my group wasn't worried about, was that our last films had come back. The films we had done for our synced sound videos, where we were doing the black and white film stuff, it came back. And despite having to pay for my own film and pay for it to be developed and putting all this money and time into it, the film was completely blurry because the equipment didn't work. So I spent a bunch of time and money on my project especially, came back blurry. So blurry that you couldn't see anything anymore. To the point where it was just moving blobs for the most part. I have a few shots that I was able to salvage, but the rest was unintelligible. And I didn't want to keep spending my money on this. This was one of those things where like it was coming out of my pocket. The school told us we weren't supposed to be working during this time period, so I didn't have like an extra job. I was pretty much relying on whatever money I had in savings, and I did not really want to keep spending so much money on this. So I was not excited to shoot another movie in film. And so somebody had brought up from the class that we didn't think it was fair that we kept having to shoot on film when the equipment didn't work. We were fine with it if the equipment would work. We understood that it was a fee or something that we would have to put into as directors because that was part of our kind of thing. As the person in charge of everything with our projects, we would be the ones who would have to foot the bill. But this wasn't our equipment. It didn't work. Why couldn't we use our own equipment that did work? Why couldn't we shoot on our own cameras that would be working? And Terry's like, well, because that's the curriculum. You got to do what you got. You got to do what we tell you. Blah blah blah. Whatever. We got it. But then somebody brought up a really good point of, yeah, but you guys are not providing us with film. You are charging us for this, and this is very expensive. At this time, I want to say it was like $50 per canister of film, and I was the only person going with one canister. I was like, I can knock these shots out in one film canister. I know I can do it. Everybody else was dropping at least 2 to 3. And I know some people were like always buying three, and that's a lot of money. Plus, the processing fees was really outrageous. So that was a bit much to be asking weekly. And so we kind of brought up that not all of us can afford this. Next week, we were going to start learning on digital. We didn't get digital cameras yet, but next week we would be starting on digital, which all you got to do is get a memory card. We all have memory cards everywhere lying around. We can do that. We don't have to like spend extra money on this. So we all kind of brought that up. And so Terry's like, okay, I'll make a deal with you. For the people here who cannot afford it, I will allow you to shoot on digital this week if you have your own camera. That's all. He said, okay, I'll allow it. So the whole class took a breath of relief. We went, good. We can shoot on digital finally and not have to be forking out a bunch of money for a film that's not going to come back developed properly or not going to come back non-blurry. So that was great. So we were all ready to go. We were getting excited now. This is going to be fun. Honestly, this is going to save us so much time because film cameras take a long time to prepare. You have to have someone putting the film in. You have to have somebody in a light, tight room or light, tight area putting everything in and sealing it up. Luckily, we had July on our team who could do that. We put him in this little tent thing, and it was completely like covered everything, so you couldn't see light at all. And you had to then tape it. So we put him in the little tent area. He'd go do that. Super thankful he could do that because me and Carly definitely didn't know how to do that. I think Red knew a little bit. She tried to do it sometimes, but I know I couldn't do it. I didn't claim to do that. I can't fit in a little teeny tent. I'm a big person. I can't fit in a little teeny tent to do that. So neither here nor there. So anyway, we were like, okay, so we're all ready. We're going to be shooting on digital. And also, it's so much more fun to shoot a music video in digital. You can do so much more. It's faster. You need instant results. You know what you're doing. You know what it looks like. It's fun. Also, in reality, we're doing modern songs. We didn't really want to be doing black and white old footage for these modern songs. It just didn't fit the vibe. So we had these like little classes before we would check out our equipment and whatnot. We had these little classes with our teachers where we'd have Terry and Darian, and we would go together and we'd sit with them and we'd discuss everything. They'd check off everything, make sure we had everything we needed, whatever. And so we're like, yeah, we're all ready to shoot on digital. We're super excited. We're super stoked. And people were even asking Darian about questions about digital because we hadn't got there. And he went, you're not shooting on digital for this. You're shooting on film. And we said, what? No, 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 no. Terry told us that we could shoot on digital for this because we couldn't keep affording this with the equipment not working right. And this started a row. This started a row. This started a problem. So we were like, that's not going to be happening. And this was a big deal. I remember me and Carly raged. Everyone else in the class raged. I did bring Carly into this episode so she could talk to you about what happened. So let's cut to my interview with Carly to talk about when we raged to shoot on digital.
It was stifling in that room. It was because one person told us one thing, and I felt bad for our cinematography teacher because he obviously was not looped in.
Mhm.
He was not looped in. And well, Terry should have looped him in, honestly.
We were not gonna take it. And literally the whole class got derailed because we were all not going to listen and we were not going to hear him until we got the justice we deserved. Like literally, it was 2 hours in before he like finally said, just go to lunch, go to break right now, and we'll come back and we'll start class. And then we came back and we said,
Yeah, we got put in a timeout. Like, I think that was one of the only times they ever said go to lunch. Like,
yeah,
not like a 15-minute
yeah, they're like, get out.
go to lunch. Because I think he realized he wasn't going to win. And the moral was, that's fine if we have to shoot on film. Can we please have some stuff that works?
Also, you give your other classes like the film department gets their own film, like the photographers get film, like everyone else
Oh,
gets stuff. We were expected to pay for everything because we were like
yeah,
the film.
the photography students got brand new cameras
And we were expected to work on.
for that they can keep.
Mhm. And then like the screenwriting program got their own laptops. Like everybody got things, and we were expected to pay for literally everything and more. And it was like, why are we being mistreated almost for this? And
I
so we just
remember
went,
at one point I literally looked at, I don't remember who it was, but I was like, if I would have known that all these extra costs were going to accrue within the first 3 months of me being here, I wouldn't have applied to this school
hmm
because I was so pissed because none of that was disclosed. I would understand having to buy books or whatever, but like
Yeah, yeah. It was very much not fair. And so we didn't take it. And literally like the whole class, rich kids, poor kids, everybody involved, we all just raged against the machine and we shot them on we shot them on digital.
Yeah, people were, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people were on the phone with their parents at this point. Because I remember I called my mom
Mhm.
and because I didn't know how I was going to afford another thing.
Hmm.
Um and I was like, well, I don't want to get an F. Like this just seems
Yeah.
like it doesn't really seem fair. This is a cost-effective thing and I'm not
Hmm. Yeah. We can't do that.
like, and the thing about Jay and I, while, we did make friends in our class and we respected them as artists and we really were dirt freaking poor. Um, there were people who had a lot more money than us and it was very evident all the time.
Yeah. And it would always shock me the people who you'd be surprised when they just pull out a bunch of money because they didn't bring it up. Like literally everybody did that except us. We were like, even the people who were also in financial aid classes, like the financial group with us, were like still had money. And it was like,
They
oh,
they had a lot of like support from other areas and stuff like that, and I think they came with a lot more money with them, whereas you and I kind of were like, well, we're going now, like that's what like, and
yeah.
that's fine. That was our choice, but I just felt like a lot more things were catered to those who could afford them as opposed to people
Mm-hmm.
who couldn't. And the thing is like, I felt like it was a matter of like suppressing our own stories because we were
Yeah.
broke.
Oh, literally. But I will say the one thing I will be proud of is that despite all that stuff, we did not settle. We did not give up. Like honestly, hot take, but our final films, Chef's Kiss, the best. Like not maybe not.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have confidence in myself. The best things. Honestly, we had the best project. We were up in the top 10 best films. You
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I mean, also that's funny to say because there's probably like actually 10 people who premiered their films, but we were in the top 10.
So, needless to say, none of us were going to be shooting on film. We didn't care that it was in the syllabus. We weren't doing it. We had been told we could do what we wanted to do, and we were going to do it. Honestly, did that make us brats? Maybe. But was it right for our projects? 100%. So anyway, we go, we get our equipments, we leave the film camera, we say, no thank you, I don't want it. We don't need it. Anyway, we all brought our own little digital cameras. We all have our little digital cameras. I know July had like a nice camera. And I think Red had a nicer camera too. Um, I want to say I think Carly, she was a photographer, so she had a decent enough like DSLR. I was shooting on a Coolpix, which I love. I still own it. That's how I did my original web series, and I loved it a lot. It was honestly the camera that my friends helped me buy back when I was like 18. So like I still had it. We shot my film on that. Looking back on it now, looking at some of the footage, it's not my favorite. I didn't really know anything about cameras. That was my biggest problem when it came to cinematography class and cinematography in general. Is I didn't actually get enough experience on the camera, and that's probably part of my own fault. I didn't ask or seek it out, so I didn't really know what I was looking for. I didn't really know that what I needed to do after kind of leaving school and going out on my own a little bit. I did start learning more about what I needed and what I wanted from a camera. So like I did get something. Now I shoot on something that's higher quality that has lenses and things like that. But I shot this whole film on like a kind of a point and shoot type camera, and I'm happy with it. It was fine. It was cute. It got the point across. Was it the best quality footage? Probably not. But we all did our best on it. So what we ended up doing, we had a little short. I brought the girls, the actress in. I brought the guy in, and we were talking about everything. And I told her about how I wanted to do this kind of descent into madness, and she loved it. She was so down. People didn't really ask that of her a lot. She kind of told me that she was like very much known for being like the pretty girl, and people just kind of hired her to be like the pretty love interest, and I was hiring her to be like somebody who was losing their mind, and it was pretty fun. So we did that. We shot that. It was really dramatic and really kind of exciting. we did the whole thing. We got it. It was fun. We had a fun time. I want to say I might even edited a lot of it at home, which I didn't do a lot of editing at home because to this day I still don't have the right programs that they wanted me to in school. My school had a very specific workflow they wanted us to follow when it came to editing, and we had to save on a certain file type. But I didn't have the right computer for it at the time, and I still don't. So I would just do my own thing, and then I would go to the editing building and render it there, or I would go to the editing building and re-render it there, but it's fine. So we do this film, and I think it's good. It feels like my old YouTube work. It feels like the stuff I did when I was a teenager. It's dramatic, it's campy, it's over the top, which honestly, looking back at all my work, the best way I can describe it was camp. But honestly, that's still part of my brand, so camp. Anyway, so I have it. It's good. I love it. I do jump cuts. She's like, looks pretty. Then all of a sudden she's covered in makeup and she's crying and she's screaming with her hair and it's in her hair and it's all over the top. And so I like it. We then have our little class where we all sit down to watch this. And I was excited for this because I got to see all my friends' projects and I got to show my project. And I was like, yeah. So we're sitting there and everybody had their projects. They were fun. They were good. I could tell some people had already filmed theirs before they went to school because some of the stuff like that's not in LA. That's not where we are. That's clearly on the East Coast. Like that's a monument for like another state. Like, but okay, whatever. Nobody's gonna clock that. It's fine. Who cares? Not my business. So we get to mine and I love it. And people are like, that girl's crazy. Why did you make that girl crazy? And I was like, because I wanted to. I thought it was kind of fun. And then they start reading it to filth as they did. They're like, that wasn't really believable. That was really dramatic. That was over the top. And I was like, okay, whatever. Don't tell me. I don't want critiques. Anyway, so they went through that. They said that I kind of just told her to do things and she did it. Looking back on it now, they probably were right. I didn't really give her a lot of good direction yet. I would learn how to do that later on. But either way, the one rule I had to follow was it fun? And Terry brought that up. He goes, but here's my question. Did you have fun? And all I can remember saying is I was sitting there in my little group with people and I was laughing while watching it. So I did have fun. Even there in my critique, I had a lot of fun and I really did enjoy it, which is important. We forget that a lot of times when it comes to art, it needs to be enjoyable for you too. You're part of the process. You were also an observer of your own art, so you have to enjoy it yourself. And if you're not enjoying it, then who's going to enjoy it? So sometimes you do just have to have fun. I will say during a lot of this project, though, it was interesting because during our editing process, like I said, I was trying to do a little more of the editing at home because I didn't really feel comfortable. We had an editing building. And it was the kind of thing when it came to the editing building that we would go there and we would edit everything there. And the hard part for me is I'm one of those people, I need my editing like bay or my editing area to be very comfortable. I want to have like my snacks. I want to have my drink not on the table, like beside me on the floor or something. Like I want to have my little music playing, a TV in the background if need be. I like to edit at home. I want to edit in the comfort of my own safe haven. I don't like going somewhere to do it. It feels very sterile and gross and creepy. I need a comfy chair. I enjoy editing, so I really want to enjoy it. I want to like bask in the fun of editing. I don't want to rush myself because I'm in someone else's sterile building. So we had our little editing rooms where we have to go edit these films, and don't get me wrong, I'm really happy we had a place where we could do this, where they had a place where you could go and edit and whatnot. It was hard though. It felt like you were on a plane. There was like one seat here, your little computer, person right next to you, same thing on both sides. It felt like I was in a little teeny, like I couldn't move. I didn't feel like I could even cross my legs without knocking over a computer. So I didn't particularly want to edit in the editing like room. And that was hard because that's where we had to do most of our stuff. Like for a good majority of the time, I would have to go there and edit like a lot of my films there because I didn't have the right program. But I would try to edit on my original editing program that I use for like YouTube and stuff like that, and then just go in there and render a second time, which wasn't always allowed because sometimes our teacher wanted to check our work and see what we had done and go through and actually look at our cuts and see what we were doing and try to help us adjust that way. So sometimes we would have to do that. This one, I'm pretty sure for the most part I was able to do most of it at home because we didn't really have a lot of time for it. It wasn't like we were doing rough cuts. It was kind of just a boom, 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 here you go. So I got to do a lot of those. I was asking the editing teacher though, because at this point was back when we got a lot of music videos where there were a lot of jump cuts and a lot of like cutting to the beat, which was something I always thought was really cool, but I didn't understand people did that. So to this day, I'm so glad I finally learned this. He taught us this kind of really cool thing where you should go through and listen to the music and hit the mark button. If you guys are familiar with editing, or if you're not, I'll really explain it. There's a way that when you do edit, you can hit like the mark button. Most of the time, like it's the M key on your keyboard or something like that. And if you hit it to the beat, it'll leave a marker where the beat's always hitting. So you know, like dun, 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 dun. And then you can go through and align your cuts to that, so it's much more precise, and it kind of makes the music video editing fit with what you're doing. So like if the song is getting faster pace, you faster pace cut the edits. And so that was really cool, and I was really proud that I was able to do that with that song, because I did want to have her descent into madness be shown in not just the look or in her performance, but also in the editing cuts. I wanted to get faster and faster as the song hit the chorus and whatnot. So that was actually a really cool experience to learn how to properly film music videos. Because up to this point, I had just been putting songs behind people performing and calling it a day, not really even learning about what went into it. So that was kind of a cool experience to learn how to actually put that in there and where to go with that. I'm very happy. Like honestly, in a perfect world, I would ask my editing teacher to come on here and give some helpful hints or some words of encouragement. I don't know if he could do that or if he would do that. He might still work with her. I don't know. Either way, it'd be fun to try to get him on here, but I don't know if that'll happen. But yeah, so honestly, it was a fun experience to do the music video. But that was the whole rule: is it had to be fun. I'm so glad I'm able to share it with you guys. Out of all of our projects, I do feel like it was one of the less stressful ones, because at that point it was probably about 3 weeks in, and I think we had started getting stuff under our belt. We were getting more used to shooting so much like stuff so quickly, and it was getting to the point where we were getting a little bit more comfortable with each other and with the people we were working with. Like we were working, I think this was the second time we worked with the same actors, 2 weeks in a row kind of thing. So it was kind of cool because we were able to get people back in, getting a good rapport, moving stuff down the line faster. I was getting more safe and more comfortable with the people I was working with, which was really cool. So like overall, it was a really good project. I sadly don't think I have the full video to show you guys. It was on my old hard drive that something happened to. Sadly, a lot of my projects did not survive, which might be for the best. Some of them, I don't know if they were my best work, so I don't know if I need to have all of it. Some of them, there's some good shots that I know I've saved on a reel, so I can show you those. But I don't know if I need to show you all 3 minutes and 30 seconds of this music video to a song that I can't even let you hear because it's copyrighted. But either way, it's one of those things. I'm very glad I had this experience and was able to do this, despite it not necessarily going as easily as possible as when we first went into it. The fact we had to fight for it was kind of difficult, but also I think that went to show us that it's okay to fight for what you believe in and what you need when it comes to a project. You don't always have to be like the yes man. You don't always have to do what you're told. Because that's the problem, is a lot of times when it comes to filmmaking, you have to be the rebel. When it comes to art in general, you have to be the rebel. You can't always do things because you're told to do them. And I know that can be counterproductive, especially in a school environment. But that's also what we were learning, was sometimes you have to say no, or stand up for what you need, or stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't do it, nobody will stand up for your project, which is what I want to impart to you guys, is that realistically, sometimes when it comes to art, you have to stand up for what you need and believe in. So if the equipment isn't up to your par and you're able to use your own personal equipment that is better for you, ask. Can't hurt to ask. Can't hurt to try. Can't hurt to put it out there that things are not working in your favor. I mean, obviously within reason, but like that's something that we fought for, and I'm proud of us for that. Looking back on it now, I'm like, that was what cemented us as a class. Like, we didn't put up with a lot of that, and that will show throughout the rest of the series. We go through a couple different teachers because of that, because we got certain teachers who were not really vibing with us, and we said something. We weren't just going to accept less, and I think that was the biggest difference, because I remember the dean actually said to us, "Why is your class always causing trouble?" And we're like, "Because we actually want to be here. We care about this. This is something that really matters to us. This isn't just a education. This isn't just a school. This is our lives. We want to do this. We're not going to just come here, get the A, and leave. We want to put out a good project." Like, honestly, I think that most of us would prefer to have a good final film than have the degree. And like, I think that kind of shows with how we were willing to push for what we wanted, what we needed. Sadly, I don't have any of the other music videos to show you. I really wish I did. It'd be really cool if I could be able to show you some of the other videos that everybody else in the crew, what they did. But I remember a couple of them were really fun from people who weren't in my group. I remember some people did some really cool songs. I remember that like Omar did one, and it was kind of interesting. He like, I want to say his ended up coming closer to, I think, his final film too. He really liked the idea of like girl assassins and stuff like that. So I think he did a music video about like girl assassins or something like that. It was pretty cool. And then like one of the other guys wanted to do like a World War II film, and he was kind of preparing for that. So we had like a music video for that, which was interesting. And so like it was cool to see people were already kind of thinking ahead. I wish I might have done that. I wish I could have done something that would have tied in, because spoiler alert for my final thesis project for year one, my video or my short film had a lot of music involved, or it was about like music, the music industry. And so honestly, I wish I would have known going into that what I was going to end up doing, because I would have loved to tie that all in and do like a almost like a very enveloping world, like do the music video for the movie, you know, like that kind of thing. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please make sure you are following. We are trying to get the word out there about what it's like to go to film school, and I'm really trying to share my heart with you guys about my experiences in film school and what it was like to do that, and how fun it was to be a filmmaker, and how fun it is to be a filmmaker, and how fun it is to work with a crew and make music videos and do all those fun things. Overall, I feel like bringing you guys on this journey has really been helpful to me and hopefully to you. I hope that this is something worth watching for you. So make sure you are subscribing.